Hey guys and gals, it's your buddies Drew and Ralphie with Living History's Mysteries and Ferocious Feline Productions. For those of you that have been with the channel for the long haul, you know, we're celebrating 5 years the middle of March this year here on the platform. You guys know how proud I am of my Celtic heritage, not just Scotland, where my great-grandmother came from, but also Ireland, where my great-grandfather came from. In doing some research, I come to find out that my great-grandfather's family immigrated to America in the very, very infancy of the 20th century. And, well, they started off in New York, where a lot of immigrants started, and slowly moved westward before settling in Indiana. Being a Mahoney, they came from a county in southwestern Ireland called the County Cork. And I was looking up something else in Ireland when I ran across an incident that happened with the early rulers in the County Cork when the English began their invasion of Scotland and Ireland. But I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about it. I'm going to let you check this out, and we'll talk more when it's done. This is good.
Beara Peninsula. A quiet and idyllic corner of Ireland. In the early 1600s, however, war, slaughter, blood and brutality plunged this land into chaos. The one man central to it all, and with a hefty price on his head, was Donald Sullivan Beara. Arguably one of the greatest Irishmen you've probably never heard of. In the summer of 1602, the Beara Peninsula was on upheaval. After the miraculous victory at Kinsale, the Crown's forces were looking to stamp out what was left of the Gaelic army. Donald Sullivan Beara posed quite a threat, as he had about 2,000 men and had ties to Spain. I'm here at Dunboy Castle, where in 1602 there was a huge siege to take control of this area. This siege was bloody, it was brutal, and it eventually led to a massacre. even beyond these walls. George Carew was the man put in charge to subdue the remnants of Gaelic resistance in the Beara Peninsula. O'Sullivan Beara's Dunboy Castle was to be his #1 target. Due to its location, the castle was seen as impregnable, but it didn't deter Carew. He set up his base just across the water on Beara Island. From here, he could easily have started the bombardment. Instead, he tactically manoeuvred his forces, cutting off Dunboy from the mainland. This ensured no escape for any survivors. Not long after the heavy bombardment, the walls fell. Once the Crown's forces broke in, it was bloody, it was brutal, it was dark, it was hand to hand, it was rough, it was lethal. A few brave survivors managed to lock themselves here in the cellar for one last standoff. In a last-ditch attempt, the man O'Sullivan Beara, the set in charge, tried to light the remaining gunpowder stores and blow the whole place up, but in the last few seconds, he was chopped to pieces. With the siege won, Carew made quick work of any survivors. All were executed to the last man. As for Dunboy itself, he ordered the castle be destroyed and torn down. Using the defenders' own gunpowder, all that is left of the castle now is the shell of the cellar and the plaques commemorating those that fell. Sadly, the slaughter wasn't over just yet, as the poor people on Dursey Island found out. With Dunboy Castle taken, the massacre soon followed here on Dursey Island. O'Sullivan Beara left 300 of his people, women, old people and children, in the safety of this island, hoping that it would give them some refuge. The Crown's forces found them, came here, and with the people already inhabited on this island, slaughtered every single one of them. Women were tied together and fired off cliffs like this. Infants impaled on swords. The bloodlet knew no end. The shell of this castle is a chilling reminder of what this was. It wasn't just war. It was annihilation and extermination. One culture against another culture. Irish versus English. Now, I've been using the Crown forces because they were the forces fighting for the Crown. But it's not as simple as that. Because Irish people fought on the side of the Crown also. It's a cold, frosty morning in the forest of Glengarriff near the end of 1602. Seeking a moment of quiet, a man looks towards the heavens for divine intervention. The impossible decision he is about to undertake will have massive ramifications for him and his people. Little does he know that the path he takes will go down as one of the greatest epic stories in Irish history. For now, however, he desperately sends prayers upwards, for he knows the journey ahead will be perilous and may ultimately deliver annihilation for him and his people. Amen. As the charred remains of Dunboy smouldered in 1602, George Carew, feeling victory had been achieved and the rebels sufficiently crippled, set sail, leaving a detachment of men to mop up the rest of the resistance in the Beara Peninsula. However, with his craig, the main head of cattle, which was a chieftain's wealth for millennia in Ireland, still intact, a significant amount of Spanish gold, and 1,000 hardened soldiers, Donald Cam O'Sullivan Beara was still able to offer up dogged resistance. O'Sullivan Beara began a campaign of guerrilla warfare with lightning attacks in the form of flying columns. This garnered considerable success in Munster, as he managed to capture a number of castles, gaining allies in the process. Most notably, the McCarthys. As autumn rolled on, the initial successes, coupled with rumours of Spanish ships, started to kindle a resurgence of uprising. All that came crashing down, however, as news of the sudden death of the important Gaelic leader Hugh O'Donnell rippled throughout Ireland. This critical blow saw his allies in Munster switch allegiance to Queen Elizabeth and effectively end the uprising. Not only this, but the Crown's forces were now bolstered with an extra 1,000 men from Charles Wilmot, who was campaigning in Kerry. With little to no support in Munster and no Spanish on the way, Donald Cam O'Sullivan Beara was now in a very precarious position. As winter of 1602 took hold, Wilmot set up his camp in the woods near Glengariff. Amazingly, the thick woods at the time meant that he did not realise that O'Sullivan was camped a mere 3 miles away. On learning this, Wilmot readied his men for an attack, and sometime in late December he unleashed his fury. Whether or not Wilmot managed to surprise Donald Cam is not known, but given the battle lasted 6 hours long, it is doubtful. The fighting was fierce as musket shot flew from both sides. Bitter combat commenced as the Crown's forces tried to probe a way through. At some point in the battle, Wilmot's men broke through and managed to capture the vitally important player. Desperately, the Gaelic defenders tried to stop this by intensifying the fighting. However, they were unable to stop Wilmot seizing 2,000 bulls and 4,000 sheep. Both sides had sustained heavy casualties, but for Wilmot it was worth it, as he now deprived O'Sullivan Beara of all rations and hope in the middle of winter. Licking their wounds in the aftermath of the battle, things looked very bleak for the Gaelic forces. Now reduced to 400 men at arms, O'Sullivan Beara did not have the means nor the food to survive. An impossible decision had to be made: fight and they would be annihilated, or surrender and they would all be executed. And so with these horrendous choices he made a bold and daring third option. On a cold New Year's Eve in 1602, O'Sullivan Beara and 1,000 of his people, under the cover of darkness, slipped away into the night. With only 1 day rations, in the middle of a harsh winter, and over 300 miles of marching through hostile territories, with a £300 bounty on his head, Donald Cam began his audacious bid for survival towards the O'Neill lands in the north.
Welcome back. You know, it's like I said in the beginning, there's a lot of history to the Emerald Isle. There's a lot of history to all of the old world. All you got to do is take the time, and when you run across a little sampling of something, dig a little deeper. You might be surprised what's not even broke the soil. But that's all I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this little look back into Irish history and the area where my own family came from, County Cork. Like I said, it's all I have. I'm going to get back to work and start working on the next video. Got to do what we got to do, right? Got to keep folks interested. So until next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. God bless you. God love you. We do. And well, we'll see you out there.